This title, Are You Married to a Brat? This is a gender reveal party. The guy is given the balloon, and this is how it plays out. And I just want you to listen to how she speaks to him and address that. Okay, so bottom line, what happened in this clip is he had the balloon. He pretended that he was, oh, I lost it. But do you see her reaction? This is what I mean. He's effing dumb. He's that dumb. My husband's a moron. And then she's like, oh. So talk to me about a relationship, because I hear from a lot of guys that say I'm spoken to in a way from the girl I'm dating, or, you know, this girl is just disrespectful to me. What should a man do who finds himself in a situation like that?
Not date her in the first place.
What if he falls in?
Okay,
in that she's situation, behaving. What if she's behaving? You know how it is. Women behave for a certain period of time, and then the attitude comes out sometimes. What does this guy do?
Okay, this is actually a good example, because I talked to it. I had a friend ask me this exact question. He had a girlfriend who'd been acting up, and like, no, okay, good example. So he's dating a girl, has been seeing her on and off for several years, and he sort of breaks up with her periodically. And then 3 months later, he'll text her, hey, baby, how you doing, whatever, and they'll get back together again, and then they'll break up again. And I'm like, okay, what happened? Why does it break? What do you break up? What happens when you break up? Like, why are you breaking up with her in the first place? He's like, oh, she'll get dramatic about this, dramatic about that, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, you just taught, or you've, by taking her back again and again, you've taught her that she can act like a dickhead.
Yep.
And get taken back. She just has to wait like a couple of months, and you'll text her.
Yep.
Right? Just not giving your attention to bratty behavior can correct bratty behavior. It's what you do with kids.
So what does that mean? Does that mean ignore her? Does that mean tell her straight up, I don't like the way you're speaking to me?
Well, first step is be like, yo, cut that shit out. Like, there has to be a boundary. You don't have if you don't have boundaries, you don't have a relationship. That's not a relationship. If there's no boundaries whatsoever between the way you interact with each other, then that ain't a relationship. So the guys don't put down boundaries these days because they're afraid of looking like a misogynist or toxically masculine or whatever the hell buzzword people want to throw at them these days. But guys need to put boundaries down. Your father puts boundaries down for you as a child for a reason, to like guide your behavior into a positive direction where it's harmonious, right? Same thing works in relationships. So you should be telling your woman, like, because they're gonna act up, cool. They're gonna test you. Like I said, okay, that's not acceptable, babe. Don't do that again. And if she does it again, you have to break it up. You have to be a man of your word and follow through, right? I had that with one of my girls recently. She did something I didn't like. I said, that's unacceptable. She tried to snark back with some bullshit. I said, that's a shame. We would have made a beautiful family together. And I ghosted it.
You ghosted?
And then, lo and behold, 3 days later, she texted me back, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, really? Now you want to talk again? Okay, fine. Like, but she has to humble herself. That's the point. You have to, it's going to sound manipulative and bad or whatever the hell. Women do this to dudes all the time, by the way. And it's only unacceptable. For some reason, it's only unacceptable for guys to have boundaries, but women do this to dudes day in, day out, constantly. Yeah. But you have to be able to put boundaries down and enforce those boundaries, take away attention from her when she's not acting correctly, so she can learn, and she has to learn to humble herself for you.
Do you know how many people you triggered in the woke community? I was listening to this.
Hopefully
I was like, I was going to start to make a list, and it was getting too long. I was like, I can't. Just the number of people that, between you comparing the husband to the dad, and then saying what the dad taught her I was like, oh man, you could just blow up. You could, like, if there was like a woke club, they would all have just set themselves on fire listening to what you said.
Good.
But I will say with that situation too, I mean, she's pregnant. Like, you can't tell me that she hasn't done that before. He knows exactly who he's with.
Totally.
He allowed that to happen for too long, and now she feels that she can publicly humiliate him. So I agree. I mean, if you're dating a girl and she's disrespectful, you got to straight up be like, I'm not going to tolerate that behavior soon in the beginning, because if you don't, forget it. Then it's going to escalate to that type of thing. You're at a gender reveal party and she's screaming at you in front of your whole family. That's ridiculous.
You got to be able to have uncomfortable conversations as a man. This applies to everything, by the way, like in business and friendships, whatever, but in relationships too. You got to be like, because most guys are like, if I say this, it might piss her off, and then I don't get sex. That's really the thought that goes on in their head.
Because they use that as a power trip. Oh, you're not going to get some. I'm going to turn over on my side of the bed, and I'm not going to look your way.
And that's because the guy doesn't have options. Okay, and I'm not necessarily saying go out and cheat on your girlfriend or whatever. Fine, if you want to remain monogamous and loyal, good for you. Like, I hope you enjoy that. But part of the reason why I'm able to actually enforce boundaries in my relationships is because my girls know that I have options. They're like, he's probably just going to replace my ass if I act like a dickhead.
That gets trickier if you are in a situation where you are monogamous, you're married to someone. But I think true like the energy though, that if she knows you're not going to tolerate that, and she knows that you could act on that, but you could go out and there'd be a bunch of girls willing to be nice to you, and you had that option, even if you were married and she knew that you were monogamous, you would. Just the idea that you're with a man that does have the ability to do that will set you straight real quick.
Yeah. It's really not that complicated. And guys will, if you're having any kind of frustrations in your life, this applies to men and women. If there's anything that frustrates you, be it financially, in relationships, whatever, it's because you have an incorrect view of the way the world works. Your mental model of, this is how women are, is fundamentally wrong if your results aren't what you expect them to be. It's a simple hypothesis to test. Like, do women respond well when I do this? Yes or no?
Right.
If it's a no, then I need to adjust my model of what women respond well to. That applies to everything. So, a guy like this, he's probably been taught his whole life, because we've all been taught like this our whole life as men, from day one, through Disney movies, through Hallmark rom-coms, through sitcoms like Friends, horrible, like all this.
Something? I used to watch that show religiously. I used to love that show, and now I look at stuff and I because I'm immersed in this content now, it's like once you see stuff, you can't unsee it.
Bingo.
And now I'm looking and I'm like, oh my God, Ross Geller is the worst. Like, who would ever want to sleep with that guy? And I used to be like, oh, Ross. And now I'm like a doormat who's like pining after Rachel years and years and years. And I even remember saying to my husband at the start, I said, but he did get the girl. And my husband was like, yeah, after she slept with a bunch of guys, and he was standing there like a moron the whole time. And I was like, oh man, once you see this red pill stuff, you can't unsee it.
And notice that it's called Friends and they all sleep with each other.
Right. That's the giveaway that something's wrong. If you like the short clip and want to watch the full episode, click here. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one on Monect, you're going to click right here. Let's get to talking.